Now, with Donald Trump, we always know that when he's doing anything from a political standpoint, there's always a deeper reason behind why he's doing it. In this video, we are going to see the former president of the Harvard Club and former student of Harvard expose the real reason as to why Donald Trump is attacking, going after Harvard the exact same way why he went after Panama as well. As usual, let's watch the video in full, and then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end.
With all these decisions with Donald Trump, you have to get under the skin of why it is that he's attacking a particular country or institution and so on. And I think there's a very personal element to this as well.
Now, a judge in the US has temporarily blocked the Trump administration's ban on Harvard's enrolment of international students. Harvard says the decision was a blatant violation of the law and an attack on free speech, while Trump says the university is guilty of misconduct and other offences. We can speak now to Brooks Newmark, who is the former president of the Harvard Alumni Association and Conservative Cabinet Minister. Morning to you.
Hi, morning.
What have you made of this intervention by the courts in the US?
Well, it doesn't surprise me because everything Donald Trump is doing is effectively against the law. And this is the problem with Donald Trump, is that he sort of shoots first and then asks questions later. So I think this is, the start of a pattern of behavior with Trump, where he'll try and do things, bully people into doing things, but ultimately, hopefully the law will prevail. I think his main argument is Harvard's a private institution, but it receives federal funding. Because it receives federal funding, there has to be some form of government oversight. And I think this is what he's sort of holding on to. Harvard, on the other hand, is arguing more of a First Amendment argument, which is freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and so on. And I suspect the Constitution ultimately will prevail in this argument. And to be honest, though, I think, a lot of it, is frustrating, for both sides of the argument. And I'm not someone who, and as I said, as a Harvard alum, I argued against the whole DEI agenda. I thought it went way overboard at Harvard. There are a lot of things, to be honest, that there are legitimate criticisms against Harvard. But the way Donald Trump is going about it, I'm afraid he'll be on a losing wicket here.
I mean, you talk about that federal funding, which the White House has frozen. It's $2.2 billion, so £1.7 billion. And this, of course, this move by Trump is affecting international students. There's around 6,000 international students who are enrolled at Harvard. And to give you an idea, just a year's tuition is over £60,000. By the time you chuck everything else in, like food and insurance and housing and everything else, it could be £90,000 a year for students to be there. This is going to be hugely disruptive, and ultimately it's going to really annoy them. They're customers, ultimately, these international students, aren't they?
Well, the thing I do feel sorry most for the students, because imagine that You've had a series of universities you've had an opportunity to go to. You've turned down all the other universities. You've chosen Harvard, or Harvard's chosen you, and you've chosen Harvard. And suddenly you're told, well, actually, you're not going to be permitted to go there. So the people I feel sorriest for are the students who made the decision in the past, let's say, 6 months to go to Harvard, have turned down other universities. And the question is, what happens to them? So there, for me, would be my priority, not necessarily Harvard, which is a $50 billion institution. Yes, it will have a financial impact on Harvard. But I think the broader messaging is that if you're an international student going to the United States, beware. This could happen to any institution that doesn't bend to the will of Donald Trump. He is becoming increasingly autocratic and demanding. He wants to vet not only what Harvard is doing, but really what the professors are lecturing. He wants to see the content. And what's going to happen too, I suspect, is that if you're an international professor, you're someone from overseas that is teaching at a US university, you could be impacted because Donald Trump, in his wisdom, could say, I don't like what this professor is teaching.
What
I want this
about
person banned.
Yeah, Brooks, what about what I've heard students say interviewed who go to Harvard who say there is a problem with anti-Semitism on campus and Harvard should have done more to protect these students? And actually, if Harvard had have done that, maybe Donald Trump's attention wouldn't have been drawn to it.
No, I think that's a bit of a red herring, actually. I'm Jewish. I was part of Hillel at Harvard, and I've had huge problems with this. So I was one of, Bill Ackman, who you may have heard of, has been harshly critical of Harvard on this. I've been harshly critical of the university on it. Certainly, when I was there 40 years ago, anti-Semitism was not an issue at all, even though obviously there were a lot of issues between Israel and Palestine back in the 70s and 80s when I was there. But it has gotten very bad. It's gotten very bad on all campuses in U.S. universities. So it's not just Harvard. I think in many, I try not to personalize this, but everything with Donald Trump is personal. Okay, whether there was the attack on Panama because his hotel there was blocked and stopped and closed down for money laundering. And I think with Donald Trump and Harvard, I don't want to personalize it in this way. He tried to get Barron into Harvard, uses his influence to get in, and Harvard basically said, "We don't care whatever money you have.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, your son isn't qualified to get in." So I think there's also a very personal element to this. So with all these decisions with Donald Trump, you have to get under the skin of why it is that he's attacking a particular country or institution and so on. And I think there's a very personal element to this as well that I don't think people have really sort of got under the surface of here.
Brooks Newmont, thank you for joining us this morning. Grateful to you for your time.
Chi Onwurah.
So it's really quite interesting for me when it comes to Donald Trump and you take a look at the way Donald Trump does things, there's always like a particular reason from a personal level behind why it is that he does what he does. If you think about it and you take a look at it, you saw the former president of the Harvard Club expose the real reason why Donald Trump decided to go after the Panama Canal, because they shut down one of his hotels in Panama. And then you also saw the real reason why he chose to go after Harvard, plain and simply because of the fact that Harvard obviously rejected his son. We've seen other examples of Donald Trump doing this with the things, the so-called LA riots. They actually aren't riots, but this is what, the right tried to do to try and put fear into people. We see the reasoning why he done that. Let's just have it right. It's probably because of the fact that Elon Musk embarrassed him and put him out there and exposed him not so long ago as well. There's always a political reason, a personal motive or a personal reason behind why Donald Trump does the things that he does. It's never just a straight, clear-cut, straightforward thing. It's never, ever the case when it comes to Donald Trump. And this is something that is always quite interesting to me. And this is why Kamala Harris, she said multiple times that someone like Donald Trump, we have to face the facts. He is going to use his office for personal gain and to get revenge on those and the individuals who opposed him, went up against him, or said something that he didn't like. Take a look at someone who we've covered on this channel multiple times, Rosie O'Donnell, said something about Donald Trump once a few decades ago. He's been going after ever since, almost to the point where she's literally had to flee the United States just so that she can have peace of mind for her and her child. This is the individual that it is that we're dealing with. Now, this is something that I feel everybody needs to know, because I'll be honest, prior to seeing this video and this clip, I did not know this was the real reasoning behind why Donald Trump was going after Harvard. But as usual, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm always wanting to hear your guys' thoughts and your guys' opinions in regards to this. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions down below. While you're down there, do me a massive favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm always trying to grow the family and have more of you guys come on board. And also, while you're doing that, turn on the bell notification so that you will get notified every single time we upload a brand new video, and hit the thumbs up button purely for the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.